Hey, what's up, everyone?
Yeah.
My name is Kay Shore, and welcome to the next episode of Leading the Pack. I am so excited to bring on this next guest, y'all, because as y'all know, it's so important for us to capture our stories. Because, man, I don't know about y'all, but as a little person, I was looking and I just saw Mulan or whoever it was. There wasn't a lot of representation. So, for me to find folks who are doing so much good in the world and also just leaders in their community that are in similar vessels as mine, man, like I just want to bring it to this podcast and this platform because I think more than anything we just need to make sure that we have the right guides to follow. And so when it comes to this person was just sheer luck of finding them. You literally have no idea. We'll give you all the origin story of how we met, but I'm so excited to bring Raisin on to the show as they were the friend of a mutual friend of Cam. And so Coach Cam is on the interwebs and they were with them and I was more attracted to Raisin. I was like, yo, what up, Raisin? What's good? I mean, I recognize Cam. I was like, what up, Raisin? So Raisin, thank you so much for just being on the show and being willing to be here and
Absolutely.
share your story and sharing it with the audience that's listening on the other side.
Kay Shorts, thank you for having me. And big shout out to Cam for bringing us together.
Yes, I mean, we actually, that night we met, y'all, we actually met in one of the last lesbian bars in all of the United States. I'm not sure if y'all know this, but
Yeah.
we're less than like, what, less than 15 in the United
Mm-hmm.
States. Maybe because we
Which
messed
is
up or whatever.
crazy. Yeah. It's crazy.
But I actually recognize Coach Cam because Coach Cam, I've been wanting to interview for a very, very long time. They have yet to be on the podcast. They are one of the few people I wanted to interview when I started this platform called Tomboy International.
Oh,
But for me, I was like, I gotta wait because Cam was growing as an influencer and online. I was like, I gotta wait until I got some interviews lined up. So when I saw them at one of the last lesbian bars in the United States called Gossip Girl in San Diego, I was like, I was tripping. I had a double take. But of course, when you meet people online, you're like, are they gonna be how they are online? Are they gonna be not nice people? Like, what is it gonna be? So I was willing to take the
yeah.
chance. But for me, I was like, Raisin seems just a little bit more approachable. So I was like, what up,
Yeah.
cousin over here?
Yeah, yeah.
Because he was chilling. He was just like, yep.
Oh, definitely chilling. Cam is the sweetest ever. They
Yeah.
are just an amazing human. So Cam is one of my good friends, if not best. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's not surprising to me that I was able to meet you and we connected in the level that we connected. So glad to be
Yeah.
here.
I'm so happy that you're here. So, Raisin, we're just gonna like take it old school. And like, back in the day, they didn't send bios. They just talked and got to know each other. But we're also here in 2024. And so I would love to know about like what is it that you currently do, the certain titles that you have, and more specifically kind of the role, like the role that you've been in your community and your tribe.
Yeah, I love that question because I think when people ask me that, because they follow me, they're seeing the work that I'm doing, and they associate it with so many different things. I've been called a producer and a CEO and a cultural strategist and a vice president and a founder. And the truth of the matter is, I'm all of those things.
Mm.
If you could say I'm a visionary, high level visionary, very much passionate and focused on transforming spaces
Mm.
for communities, right? BIPOC communities, underutilized communities, or underutilized spaces to really cultivate a cultural atmosphere or environment to storytell, right? To
Mm.
elevate stories through the arts. And
Mm.
so I'm heavy in the arts, in urban centers. My title is Vice President of Urban Activation for the Downtown Austin Alliance, in which I've been there for about 5 years, creating and overseeing public art programs and activations for parks and huge skyscrapers and bridges and alley activations and partnering with cultural organizations to bring festivals down there that transform cities and elevate musicians. I started very early on, about a decade and a half ago, creating my own organization called Raisin in the Sun, which is now growing and it's get its own staff and its own place. And um, Raisin in the Sun is creative placemaking, creative placekeeping, right?
Mm.
When you're looking at underutilized spaces for similar to what I'm doing downtown. So founded that organization, and it is doing massive mural projects as well, more on a larger scale, I would say, because downtown Austin, I'm focused solely on downtown, but I think Raising the Sun can go global, nationally.
Wow.
We can get into any communities and we can curate mural projects. We can look at, vacant lots, alleys, and create, art installations. And then, recently we have an artist residency where we got homes or temporary homes on the lots. And then we
Wow.
have artists being able to stay in those homes and create work and stuff like that. So I just think it's just the idea of kind of like an HGTV, but just for art, right? You're trying to look at space in a different way to really elevate what really brings value to communities. So I think that's in a large part what I do. People think I'm a musician, rock star, painter, or something like that, but I'm a creative, a visionary, but my canvas is literally space in the world. It's I can look at canvas in a different way, look at space in a different way, and be able to create opportunities for people to do their thing. So I've been able to be hugely successful with that. Before that, I was, a former Olympian. I ran track for University of Texas. Did the 400 hurdles, and I played basketball a little bit too, so I was an athlete. Well, bet you're gonna ask me, am I from Houston or where I'm from? So I'm gonna wait till you ask me
Yeah, I
that.
was like, you gotta wait.
But
I'm over here like, can I work for you? Can I send in my resume real quick? Because how did you get here, and how do I help you do those things? Wow,
yes,
that is so
yes,
incredible.
yes,
Yeah, I say that because, as little people, they always ask us, what do you want to be when you grow up? You know what I mean? And
yeah,
at what point do you like actually know? So going back to the question of like your role in the tribe, give us what is your like think about if we're going back to the tribe, we're going back to our
yeah.
back to the land, back to our ancestors' days, like what do you think your role was in the tribe? And then we will bring ourselves back to our younger selves and be like, how was that percolating as a little person? So tell us
No,
your
that's a
adult.
powerful. Yeah, that's a powerful
You know what I
question, K
mean?
Short. That's powerful. I love it. I think if we were going back to the tribe with nothing,
Yeah.
I think innately, naturally, I'm a provider. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
leader. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm that beacon of light that says, "Hey, there's a path right here. Come on, you're wandering there and you don't know where to go. It's right there. I'm pointing. I know the vision. I see it. I've seen it yesterday. I saw it last year. I see it tomorrow. I see it in this present moment." So it's like for me, I've chilled. I feel like no matter who you are, your pronouns, culturally where you're from, your background, female, male, whatever it is that you may identify with, you are a human being that can human, right? You can be a human. You can elevate and be that innate thing that's inside of you, right? And take all those barriers away. The humanness in me wants to provide, right? And I want to elevate others. There's a extreme passion, and I'll tell you this, and then we move to the next question if you want. But originally, when because in high school, I didn't know what I was gonna do. Like I kind of knew what I was gonna do, but I didn't. I just knew I was highly competitive. I could influence people. People wanted to follow me. They loved to watch me run. So I put all the energy. I had a ton of energy. I didn't really find out until kind of like later after I retired from track and athletics, really what I wanted to do. But back then I was creative, right? Loving and had a profound passion to touch and give back, like to elevate people. And so I think that has always followed me, and I could always set a goal, vision something out, and achieve it. Right. And so I wanted to share that skill with others. And because I feel like everybody has it innately in them. Some people more profound than others. And so with that, I was able to literally the key sauce here is that whatever you desire, nobody can stop it. If you believe it, eventually it's going to happen. Now, how fast and quick it happens, it's up to you. But in this lifetime, it can definitely happened. Don't get smart and start writing it down and planning. Like
Hmm.
if
Hmm.
you do that, you start putting action behind it, you're really good to go. So
Hmm.
I think for me in the tribe, that's kind of profoundly at the very simplest form, just who I am. I think very confident. The confident came over, the confidence came and was grown over a journey. This is a journey that I'm on. And so I think when you're talking to me, you'll feel it, right?
Hmm.
You'll feel the journey that I've been in. That comes with age too. But young people can be on a journey just as powerful as mine or even bigger.
Hmm.
And so I think tapping into that and tapping into the elders in that tribe, for the wisdom. Wisdom is key, right?
Hmm.
So some things you don't really have to go through
That
because
part.
people have gone through them already. You've got some bona fide tomboy masculine people that have already been in the trenches. Why are we going in the trenches? Go hit that
Man.
other spot where nobody's going over there. You know what I
That
mean?
part. Hmm. I love that. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I can, because I'm trying to think, if we was in the same tribe for wherever we were at, I'm thinking for me, I feel like I'm more like the messenger and the gatherer. You know what I mean? I'm like, yo,
Mm.
Raisin got something to say. And you tell me,
Come
you're
over
like,
here.
yo, I got something to say. I was like, okay, so you need people to say something too. Okay, be right back.
Hmm.
Let me go get them. You know what I mean? So I'm like blowing my horn. I'm like, look, visionary got something to say about
Amazing.
what's gonna happen
That's
in our tribe. You know
amazing.
what I mean? Like knock on each door. I'm like, look, y'all gotta go. Come on, we gotta go. And then I'm like,
Wow.
pass the mic to you. I'm like, all right, we're all here.
Let's
What
hit
what what,
it.
what do you gotta say? You know what I mean?
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I think in
Amazing.
simplest terms, I kind of see myself as like a shepherd dog. I'm just like rounding the people up.
Mm.
And whatever you say, you tell me, and we go delegate. I'm like, all right. They said go cut wood, go cut the wood. Y'all go pick the
Hmm.
berries, you go pick the berries. I'm like, y'all gotta take care of
Let's
kids.
go.
You know what I mean? And I don't know. There's some other stuff happening over there I haven't quite figured out. So yeah, that's been a fun question for me because I think we are living during times that we've kind of overcomplicated the whole process. You know what I mean? With this strategic title, cultural vice president. I'm like, I love that. Sounds
Hmm.
good.
But what
But
do you do?
but what you know
Who
what
are
I mean?
you?
But
What's your tribe?
exactly. I'm all like, what tribe you a part of, and what's your role in the tribe? So going back to our younger selves, when we didn't have these fancy words and these little languages that we started learning over time, what was your role in the tribe then? What did you notice when you were with your friends? Probably something
Oh,
very similar, but tell it to us like we're in fifth grade again. Like bring us back to the
it was
playground when we were playing with Raisin.
yeah. So it gets earlier on,
You troublemaker,
maybe.
just call it.
Correct. I'm gonna call it. I literally was a troublemaker. I probably was getting into fights and trying to beat the boys in basketball. And I literally was a person that high energy, so I couldn't, I got bored really easily. Um and I, for the most part, I had little, fears too as well. Like I was terrified of water. I was just like a kid that was, but I had big dreams.
Mm,
Early on I was raised in a Baptist church, and so that kind of was an experience, right? Because it was like I was exposed to this one way of thinking, it's
yeah.
religion, which for to each his own, but I think for me it was more so what else is out there. So I
Yeah.
was always curious, and definitely had a heart of gold. So my heart was just big, had a
Yeah.
big heart, but I was also a Taurus. I'm born April 29th,
Hmm.
so I'm a Taurus, very stubborn sometimes. I'm not as stubborn anymore. I'm in my 40s now, so I'm not
Hmm.
stubborn as much.
Stubborn about the right
As
things
much.
now.
Stubborn about the right things,
Yeah.
but I'm aware of it. So I think when I was, 5 years old, that's kind of like, the tomboy, classic tomboy, um, always trying to be competitive. Yeah, just trying to have fun, and yeah, that was me.
So where was this happening at? Tell me about your family dynamics. Are you oldest, middle, youngest, only? Just so I can get a better idea of like the formation
Yeah.
of this human being, right?
So probably in the middle, second to oldest. I grew up with three siblings beneath on the other side, younger siblings, and then I have one older sibling, and then a half sister that I didn't grow up with that was older than me.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of felt like the oldest in some ways, but then not, because my sister was about 11 years older than me, and she kind of moved out early on. So it
Mm-hmm.
was kind of like me, then my three younger siblings for a long time. So that's where I sit in the whole hierarchy of nothingness.
And this was where? And somewhere in Texas, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, I'm Texas all day. Can you
Hey,
tell?
hey, look at
I
that.
need where my cowboy hat at, man, when you need it.
Yo, okay. Yo,
Houston,
okay.
baby, H Town, the H,
Ooh, look,
H, the H, baby.
y'all. Okay, because I'm from Arizona, so we're kind of like cousins in a way.
Yeah,
You're
you
like
West,
cousin, like
you
a little
West.
distant cousin. But I've been really just brown and black folks in Western wear has been like different. You know what I mean? Like it just be looking different. When I see when
It's
I go ahead.
they can't touch it. I mean, like, let me tell you, Texas and that West, I don't know what to call it, West Coast. It's kind of like a Western
Mm-hmm.
uh dynamic there is like, it is sexy.
Yeah, a thousand
It's
percent. I was
sexy. It's
all
how we
like,
dress. Yeah,
yeah, I was like, look at the
it's sexy.
turquoise. I see your bolo tie. You got your boots. I think I met you with some boots, and you know what I mean.
Yeah,
And it's just
all
so,
day,
it's so different. Like, if
all day.
tell me what it was like. I mean, I don't, Texas is Texas, but I don't really know, obviously, like about Texas. What was it like growing up as a person of color, as a black person
Man,
in
let me tell
Texas?
you,
I mean, Beyonce
you
was,
will.
what I mean, but tell me more.
Beyonce, we have, man, Travis Scott, we got Lil Kiki, keep going, Destiny's Child, let's
Right.
go, Paul Wall. Here's the thing, okay? Growing up in Houston, Texas, it was a country city,
Hmm.
right? But definitely hands down a city.
Hmm.
So you would literally have, you could see on the left was a skyline or could be up against a skyscraper, and on the right is a cow
Julian.
and a horse and a I'm serious, and a barn
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
It could be a rodeo parade
Yeah.
of people with cowboy hats, and they might take a horse to work.
Yeah.
So, and you might get a Cadillac,
Wow.
with rims.
Yeah.
And like, this is where I grew up. So
Yeah.
it's like, it's nothing to wear cowboy hat and boots and be dope.
Yes. I love
You see what I'm
that.
saying?
Yeah.
Like, we made that a thing. It's like, and who's gonna say something about it? You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Right. No, it looks, so I'm assuming you like the direction that Beyonce's going now.
I was already on that. Beyonce came from where me and Beyonce kind of similar ages. So Beyonce came from the same place I came from. So
Yeah.
Beyonce came with such, she should have been did that, because
Yeah.
we were always doing that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. I love that. Okay, I was just like, dang, I was like, it's something that you just don't, at least for me, sometimes you don't see often, but then you start coming up and I was like, but it's always been like that though. So I'm,
Yeah,
as someone
100%.
who grew up as MTV was, popping off, fully conscious of technology, popping off, things of that sort, were you able to see yourself in the media at the time? Like, what was that like? Like, who were you turning to as a guide?
I think at the time, Erykah Badu was very influential as a Texas light. Obviously Beyonce, but Erykah Badu was more up my speed in terms of style, fashion, poetic voice. The community. Yeah, she was from Dallas, but there was something that um drew me to her early on with her creatives and things that she was creating, like the songs she was creating and the way she dressed. So I think that would be the biggest one that stood out, I think, growing up. And I would also say there was a huge presence of I guess you could say back then, athletics was also big for me, and I say that because I am in the cultural field. I work in the culture, entertainment, and art. But aside from that, athletics was a big thing for me in Texas. And so I got to experience the Houston Rockets win the championship back to back, where there was Clyde Drexler and Akeem Olajuwon, and Robert Ory, and so that was in my day, right?
Mm.
And we haven't won one since.
It's because you was there.
So it's
Raisin, it's because you was there.
maybe we actually, yeah, I had a couple championships in my lifetime that we have since, like UT. We won a football championship when I was
Hmm.
there.
Hmm.
When Vince Young was there, Vince Young was from Houston. So again, we haven't won one since. So to be in that, and to experience a lot of the things out of Houston was like surreal when you now know I'm 40 years old and I haven't seen it since I was in my
Hmm.
20s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or in my teens.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome. Now it's the Houston Astros, which they, back then when I was in middle school, high school, the Houston Astros had a staff that would come to the school and beg for the kids to come to the stadium. They would give away tickets because they sucked. So they were big, hey, come on, here's tickets and free coupons for popcorn and hot dogs.
Yeah.
Because we would go there and nobody was crickets was in the stadium.
Oh,
It's the old
man.
stadium.
Yeah.
Now they're actually winning championships now, so it's totally different.
I
But
love that. Yeah. Tell me about the role that sports has played in your life. I'm curious if it was just something that was natural to you, or like something that you just had an inkling for, or was it also something to get away from? Maybe the world was looking a little different during that time too.
I think that's spot on. You hit something earlier, Kay, short about being a troublemaker at a young age. I was caught in the principal's office by a coach that broke up a fight between me and another person, and then I had a person that jumped in to help me, who by the way, their name was Speedy, and we're friends to this day.
Wow.
And Speedy and I were taken to the principal's office. The coach Blanks came, and he was an art teacher and also a coach. I'm trying to tell you the power of athletics and art, how it had an influence in my life. And he was like, oh, you're running, you got all this energy, you go run some miles. I'm taking you to the cross country meet. Took me to the cross country meet, put some shorts on me. I ended up winning the city, the cross country. He's like, oh, you can run, huh?
Looks like you can.
Yes. Then after that, got in the track, did well, then got into basketball, and then ended up going from there all the way to the top.
So why were you getting in trouble? Just because a lot of energy?
I think, if I'm honest with it, a lot of it stems from, home issues, with not really understanding how to cope with anger and watching other people and how they handle situations, or even being treated like that as a young kid, and just trauma associated with that, being a young person, and the core memories that follow traumatizing situations as a young person.
Yeah.
I think it naturally you carry that that type of behavior into the schools, the education, the public eye, and that's what you revert back to when, when your back is against the wall, when the alarm starts sounding, you start saying, hey, you back me, I'm gonna
Yeah.
you stay back. You know what I mean? And so I think for me, just not understanding how to utilize tools to help me to talk through situations and to handle it the very best. I'm just now starting. I still have these struggles with that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I think sometimes, you know what I mean? Like it's interesting to see what art, athletics, other things of what they play a role in our lives because of the things that we're trying to cope with, and I love that
yeah,
it has found a way into your life long term, specifically the arts and culture, right? Where you're like, man, like
yes,
if it was cultivated or held, if these spaces were available to me as a young person, maybe, you know what I mean? It probably might be a different story. That's probably just all that it would be.
yeah.
It'd just be a different story. Maybe you wouldn't have
But a story nonetheless.
a story nonetheless, you know what I mean? But I think it's it's interesting to think about that, because I know for a lot of masculine center folks, because I was thinking about this, where do you typically, when you go out in the world, where do you typically find us? And so we can have a little brainstorm session, you know, because a lot of us do go through sports, you know what I mean? But then
I just
after that,
I,
I
that's a
see
powerful
us
question.
in like law enforcement. I see us in firefighting. I see us as UPS drivers and FedEx drivers and post office. Like I see. I mean, maybe this is just me in the world, out in the wild. You know what I mean? I see us as trainers and coaches. Um, where else do you see us typically? For those who,
I think the biggest is in athletics, I would have to
yeah.
say.
Mm-hmm,
But lately I have seen I've seen us.
the fact that we gotta think this hard is a part of the problem, y'all. We're just like,
Yeah, it is. It really is. But you have to think, but really where it's kind of sprinkled everywhere now, here and there, but some spaces more than other spaces.
mm-hmm.
But I think I want to say I'm starting to see us more rise up in hip hop, if that makes sense. And we weren't really there in hip hop before like that. We've had a lot of, you know, if you were masculine presenting, you were still straight, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like you rapped about straightness and you wasn't true. Now I'm starting to see some real motherfuckers come up when that
Yeah,
you're a real tomboy. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like
yeah.
you talking about women. You know what I
Yeah, yeah, because you know
mean?
the brat wasn't saying too much.
Correct. You see
Amanda
what I'm saying?
Perez wasn't saying too
Correct.
much.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like we all knew, but
We know. We
but
know.
and so when they came out, we was like, well, we knew that. You know what I mean? But we
Or
couldn't.
like in Missy Elliott. There's another one.
Yeah.
Missy Elliott.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like the ones coming up, but now you're starting to see it's real. Like yeah, it's I know a couple rappers that are just straight up tomboy, lesbians, all that, queer.
And my question and concern with that is that my observation is they're just talking like the boys, and the way that they're talking about women. Am I
Well,
tripping? What do you think
and
about that?
I don't think you're tripping. I think it's more of the evolution of where we're trying to go and where we will be
Hear that.
is just on that timeline. We're specks on the timeline, and I think that begs the question of who's going to break that threshold, right? And
Mm-hmm.
step out in that leadership visionary and say, hey, it's okay, and do your thing as
Mm-hmm.
a queer woman, right? As a
Mm-hmm.
lesbian woman, as a tomboy woman,
Mm-hmm.
or transgender, or whatever it is. It's wide open, guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's wide open. So I think in the meantime, we're in the interim. We're in the
Mm-hmm.
transitional. And we talked earlier before we started recording about the power of the transition
Mm-hmm.
points or part of your journey, right? When you're in transition of something, people don't pay attention to it. But really, if you slow it down, that is a very powerful spot right there. It's
Mm-hmm.
not a comfortable spot for everybody most of the time, but it's a place of growth. It's a place of real actualization, realization. It's where you can really start to shift that universe into actualizing what you're trying to, what your desires are.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a lot of things going on there. So I think with that being said, we are in that transitional phase. We just need somebody to pull through there and go ahead and level up for us.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. Why don't you bring us to when you started coming into your queerness? Like what did that look like? And give us kind of context of like what year was that and where the queer community was at during that time.
I remember it like it was like yesterday. Let me tell you.
Tell me.
So then, but back then, and you guys are probably younger than me, obviously, but look, when I was in high school, it was literally, and it's not like it is now. Like you used to get bullied if you try to come out. You know what I mean?
Bully.
So it was probably one or two girls that came out, and they just had, I mean, literally probably have mental problems now. They just treated so bad and scorned and talked about. And at the time, I don't think I was paying attention to anything as I was in sports and I wasn't really in love with anything, but that, academics and athletics and stuff. And so, but I had an eye on the one tomboy that came out and he played basketball, and I was like, man, I hate what they're going through. Sorry that they're gay. Still not realizing that I'm gay. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But you was empathetic.
I was empathetic, but nevertheless. So that year, junior, senior year, I began to
This is like late
do a lot.
90s.
This would be like 98, 99. That's a good question. And so I was beginning to travel because I was getting good at sports. So once I started traveling and getting out there, I started getting hit on.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to take it because remember, I grew up in a Baptist church.
Right.
Right. So at first glance, I was like, oh no, we can't do that because the Bible says, and my mama said, you can't. Like, what are you thinking about?
Right.
Stop.
You're looking like your mama right now. You better stop.
Yeah.
That's what your mama look like.
Like, dang. So then, so a couple of those happened. I was like, stop, and then they started like happening frequently, and I'm like, look, hey, sorry, I was like, am I gay? Like, what is this? What's that? So I was like, yeah, I am. Like, I'm walking around, I'm like, Tom, like, you know what I mean? And I start to understand. I tried with a young man, and boyfriend, and then this is like after high school, right there around that time, and he was like, you know what? You're gay, dude. He was like, you're sitting up in here. He's like, you're entertaining a young lady that likes you, and you're saying you're not gay. I'm like, oh, I just want to know. I just want to get more because I'm trying to figure out why I'm having all these girls try to talk to me. So I really want to engage with why she likes me and all this.
Yeah.
So he's like, no, it's okay, Raasin, you're gay. You know what I mean? We can just, you know what I mean? So I think at the end of the day, I ended up looking at the high school boyfriend that I did have as like, my brother. Like we did the same. We did the same event, hurdles. Like we looked alike. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't have sex. You know what I mean? Because I was just like, oh, I'm a church person and I don't want to. And so when I did finally connect with a woman, it was in college. My freshman year. And so that's when I broke away I went out of Houston, went to Austin, broke away from the family. And that's when it happened. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. This is what it is. I need to grow on this and figure this out because this is what I like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't like anything else. So yeah. So that's kind of like where it started. So right at 17, 18 is when I really realized. I think I was gay the whole time, but I just didn't know it, if that makes sense.
So what was it it sounds like it was a decent transition where you kind of just was like, well, yes, but I'm curious whether if it was or was. I'm curious, obviously, with that tension with growing up in the Baptist church too. Like, was there some rubbing against the road? And then, of course, like, what did it look like when you potentially start coming out to your family and friends?
Yeah, it was definitely rubbing against the road. I mean, people, even, my siblings act different, like because they were, really into the church thing and they were thinking like, hey, you're going to hell, dude, if you do this. I'm like, not really.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be who I am. Like, I don't believe that. So, I mean, to me, it was definitely a rub. It still is to this day, but they accept me. I think when I started to actually come back home from college and they knew, initially it was a lot of pushback. But you have to kind of work through that because if your family truly and really love you, they'll accept you. Right. You just have to kind of teach them how to love because if they're not accepting you, they don't know how.
Probably not accepting
You know what I mean?
themselves.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So there's an opportunity there to kind of help elevate that particular area that they are
Mm-hmm.
struggling in.
I mean, looking in hindsight, this is over 15 years ago. Again, this is probably early
Yeah.
2000.
Even more. It's
Yeah.
even longer.
I mean,
Like,
I didn't want to start throwing
yeah.
out,
Right.
inaccurate numbers, but
Yeah. 15 to 20. So yeah, 2 decades.
yeah. So again, the early 2000s, you
Yeah.
you make it sound like, in hindsight, like it was pretty easy, but was it? Like you were really already at that point, like this is just who I am, and like this is what it is.
Now remember, I still was
A troublemaker.
definitely was still a troublemaker, and I still figured out that I loved the women, but I was still also evolving into who I truly was, like who I am, right?
Mm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
that confidence that I'm telling you about wasn't always there in terms of physically, right? Like where I was like trying to understand, like, okay, so I have a very nice face and this and this and that, so people automatically in the world would assume that I'm straight.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And so I became this, motherfucker that you just, when I step in a room, you know who I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't have to guess. You know what I mean? Kind of like when you said you met me, it's like, oh, your energy. So it's like being more concise with creating that, right? Like evolving into that human. Um, in that time frame, I was still evolving there. So, but I knew that I liked women.
Tell me more about that process. I say that because I think nowadays there's a lot of people saying a lot of things. There's a lot of voices going on. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of people telling us who we think we are or not. Like, tell me about your process of how you continue to become more of yourself, and also how can that translate to people who are listening on the other side.
Oh, I'm going to try to make this very short. This is so profound. Listen, guys, I am a masculine tomboy female. Like, I identify with probably, more masculine things than men do,
Yeah.
right? Like, I'm just, I don't want to just say androgynous. I am a mixture of it, right? So I'm not super feminine at all. As a matter of fact, I'm so on the other end that I'm attracted to femininity. Now, I'm gonna tell you, there's levels of queerness and, transgender, all that. I get it. I'm not saying that's who I am. What I'm telling you is I'm in a female body and very happy in my body, but I am totally masculine. And so there is this notion of two-spirited. You know what I mean? The two spirits there, the masculine and femininity in me, it embodies it. So embrace that. Don't tell anybody. And I think on the other end of this is I used to get a lot of, man, you got penis envy, or you think you're a boy, or you think you this. No, I don't. I'm about to pull more chicks than any man you ever met. Like, I am that one that is very masculine in the female body. Come get it. Come get this and explore this world because it's on another level. And you're not seeing it on the tubes. You're not seeing it in an organic form. You're not. We're out here. We're living and thriving, and we're, mating with people and elevating and having amazing relationships and friendships and experiences. This is happening 2024. I want to see it. God bless K Short. I want to see this on another level. It's here and it's very profound. So step into that and don't allow people to tell you that you have to be one or the other, or if you are, you change a man, or this and this. I mean, if you do want to change, that's okay. That's great. That's your path you want to do. And that's totally fine. But also with the same sentence, I don't have to do that. I'm okay with what I am. Right? Like, I'm okay. And that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know if
Yeah.
I got off a
No,
little bit, but
no, I appreciate you for saying that because some young people I've been around, other young tomboys, masculine center young people, and like what I'm almost observing is that the conversation is that they almost feel obligated to transition. They're like, all of my friends are
correct,
transitioning, but
correct,
like the
correct.
way you hold it, you know what I mean? Even like you saying like I'm this masculine and female body, but even the way you hold your masculinity is very different than what I see other folks in a similar vessel hold their masculinity. So tell me more.
Correct. And let me on that piggyback on it. Let me just make sure I'm clear. If you feel like you are not in the correct body, totally different. You can go over there to the side, sit down, and go on your path. But if you are getting in another body, transition to another body because you feel like you're obligated or because there's something not right about being and having two spirits in the female body, I feel like I want to help you. I want to talk to you because there are some things that you need to understand that we love who you are. Like who you are matters in this world, right? And I have to say, again, one more time, I am not against transitioning to another body, right? If you wanted to be a female to a male or male to female versus that, great. I totally get that. And I'm not opposed to it. I have tons of friends doing it, but I'm not going to do that. Like people, I get it all the time, Kenny. So that's what I'm trying to tell you right now. People are like, oh, I accidentally got a number from a young man named Tony. This a couple months ago. Somehow I wrote his number down and iPhone just took it as my name. So every time I would text people or my phone would ring, it would read Tony. And so people were like, oh my God, are you transitioning? Like I knew it, you know what I mean?
What?
Yeah. It was, and guess what? I spent nights trying to figure out how to change it back. I was going to the contacts like, okay, this is my real name. Stop it, Siri. Stop it.
Yeah.
And it just wouldn't stop it. Finally changed. I had to call him. Like, stop this. I'm like, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely, gonna come in here with a powerful masculine feminine energy. It's you're gonna feel it. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And a lot of times men get very intimidated by it. And it's easier, right, for a lot of people to just be a man so they don't have to deal with it. Right? So they can be so free to just be that masculine. But how free is it to be masculine in that female body? It's a powerful, profound thing.
And tell me how you learned how to wield it in your favor, especially in your favor in a way in the position and title and role that you are in the tribe and also in the community. How are you wielding this for good?
Passion, your energy, and your willingness, leadership, and philanthropic perspective and vision to help others, the athletic discipline, and the creative of the arts have paved the way for me to get into communities, into corporate, downtowns, and people just love who I am. The confidence of, I really care about you. I want to help elevate this company. I want to help elevate your community. They believe it. Now, this could be coming, I think it's special because it's coming from me because I am gay, female, and Black. Yeah. So I'm coming, I am bringing ancestral ties every time I'm walking, every time I'm talking. Like, I have to make sure I'm connecting the dots, past, present, and future. And so I won't have to fight the battles. Not many of them. Most of the battles have to be fought by the people and the things that I'm elevating, the stories that I'm telling, the reasons why I'm doing things. And when you get deep into that, you begin to wield legacy, right? And now Raisin just becomes a great human
Mm-hmm.
that helps people. Not Raisin is this particular thing, but any other human would follow Raisin because of who she is and what she's doing.
Mm-hmm.
She just so happens to be
Mm-hmm.
gay, female, black,
People.
right?
We.
So it's about coming out of that into something else that sees no gender.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you wield that power. And then people say, oh, I love gay people because Raisin is gay and Raisin's pretty fucking dope. You know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know that I could, or matter of fact, come to my church and speak. You know what I mean? No, I'm not coming to your church. Now I might.
Speaking of,
Hey,
go ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead.
No,
No, go ahead, because I know you're
yeah,
about to get it.
yeah. I was speaking of church. You know what I mean? Tell me about that experience. What was it like growing up? When did you, and like where are you at now when it comes to your beliefs, and what have you made sense of this whole thing so far?
Yeah, I was one of those Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday churchgoers. Yeah, well, maybe not Monday. Tuesday was Wednesday Bible study, teacher, usher. Tuesday was teach usher, ushers, junior ushers practice. Thursday was choir rehearsal. Friday we get a break. Saturday was children's choir, and Sunday was Sunday service, worship, and evening service worship for a long time.
Yeah.
Dude, let me tell you, I'm not going back
Hmm.
ever. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So not religious right now. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
When did you start
So what
questioning
I
that?
oh, probably in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, high school, I was already like, what is going on here, man? These people telling us about these rules that don't need to be taught. Like, this something ain't right. So, what I did learn was, the financial and not political, but more like governmental platform that they operate. The
Mm-hmm.
churches is really at the core of it is a 501c3.
Mm-hmm.
And so I tell my brother he's a peace preacher and he's still in the church. I said, hey, I have my own nonprofit called Raisin and the Sun. We're doing work. We not be doing work like what y'all are doing, but it's a 501c3. We can stand next to any church. So, but it's the vision that I have to help people, and that's what y'all are supposed to be doing too. But I'm not going to listen to a person tell me that I don't need to be gay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where that kind of separated, right? When I understood that the things that they were saying literally were not real,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And so and to be okay with that and to say if it's real to you, it's real to you, but it's not real to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So that was an early separation there, and it really haven't been back. Now I would go back because I think it's vintage now. Like I think it's great to come in and see the choir singing. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
South Go, visit my family. It's like cool,
Yeah.
But a second time, a membership, a tenth of a tithe, I'll give it to my organization to give out to the community.
Yeah. So where are you at with your beliefs now, like in terms of when things you're currently in a transition right now, and maybe that's something worth talking about. But just out of curiosity, what keeps giving you hope, especially in the world today?
I think the ancestral ties, I think the pure purpose of my life is to really, elevate and achieve, my purpose of, you know, um, transforming spaces for communities and in this cultural work that I'm doing. I want to also build communities. I want to be able to make things affordable for people. Um, I want us to be storytellers. You know, so to me, I'm very much on the spiritual tip.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I could probably um derive a lot of who I am to spiritual being and meditation and trying to understand folks before me, the work that they put in, how I can connect to that to further that work,
Mm-hmm.
right? In my own creative way. right, in legacy building. So that's why I'm at with it right now, more so than an actual doctrine or religion. That's more shallowy to me.
Hmm.
Um, I want to get more deeper, right, into spirituality versus a religion.
Yeah. I would remiss if I didn't have the chance to ask this question because I'm so curious about it. You talk about the work that you're doing. You said that you didn't really
Hmm.
know how that probably that this work exists at the time because you're doing sports through college too, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, I
tell me,
was.
so just tell me about your path of how you got into the position that you're in now. I only say that because I'm like, wow, that sounds really cool, but how does one start a path down that road?
Getting at that, yeah. It was really interesting because I said one side was athletics, the other side was the arts.
Right?
At a very early age, my dad, he's always been an artist. He could build stages, work wood, carve wood, design, paint. He would paint in communities on the windows for businesses, signage and stuff like that. Just highly creative guy. He still is creative at 70 something years old, almost in his 80s, still muscular and doing creative stuff. Um, he took me to Kwanzaa and festivals and cultural festivals
Hmm.
and so I think what I'm getting at is that he planted a seed.
Hmm.
And so if you know anything about plants or horticulture, once you plant a seed and it sets root, you can go away from it a little bit. When you come back, it's still growing,
Hmm.
and so I think that's kind of like what happened to me because he also encouraged me to be in athletics, but he also encouraged me to be in arts, and he wanted me to play instrument. And I played the tenor sax and got in the jazz band and played the drums. So I think for me, it was more of once I got through with the athletic portion of my life, it was natural that I wanted to get settled into the community and start to create, right? Because
Yeah.
that's what innately was in me. But athletics took so much precedent over my life and the discipline that it takes to achieve a goal. But I think what it did was it very much gave me balance in the sense that I bring something to the table now in this industry that I'm in that nobody can really understand,
Mm.
right? It's like I
Mm.
can bring this intensity, this competitiveness, and this cheerful, like I'm cheering people on, like we're going to get a medal, and the team effort and camaraderie that I'm creating here. It all comes from athletics,
Hmm.
like the discipline to like set a goal and then work toward that goal, celebrate and all that comes really from athletics. Now the creative end, the visionary, all that is another thing that I'm tapping in this point of my life that is going to be even bigger than athletics, right?
Hmm.
But the foundation was built already and the seed was planted a long time ago.
Yeah, yeah. So, just to be more clear, also after college, what did you end up getting your degree in? And then, like, I'm just
Okay.
like asking for tangibleness because there might be someone listening on the other
Yeah.
side being like, okay, they have this really cool title, and I'm like, but how does one get there? Like, what rooms were you putting
Hmm.
yourselves in? What opportunities were you seeking so that if someone in their city are like, I like what Raisin's doing, I would love to transform spaces and be working with people who have money in the city or whatever the case,
Hmm.
but that didn't just happen overnight. So like, yeah, what doors were you
Yeah.
knocking on as a young person?
I, I love it. I think communications was my major.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was able to get in journalism, television, and film. I was able to learn about marketing. I was able to really understand international communications. So I think going to UT, going through their program, really set me on a level to where I could really excel in anything on a communications basis. Communications to me would be what I would recommend for anybody doing what I'm doing. And also, there is a component of this that's urban development and architects, engineers, all that, like understanding how to build things, right? And how to transform spaces. And, then there's the art side to it. Like I could build a house, woodworking, all those different types of things are in line with what I'm doing right now. That's literally the things that I can, if I'm looking at my journey, the things that I got into, they helped me to really get to where I'm at. I would also say education. I was a teacher for some years, and education it helped me. Yeah, I'm sorry. I've
Don't
really been
apologize.
busy, and I told Kay Short I've been real busy here
Yeah.
working. But I think teaching helped me on a lot of levels to understand the organizational components of structuring uh you know programs and groups and organizations and curriculum and just understanding people and students
Yeah.
and like how to get them to listen and you know how to have something you want to teach somebody and give it to them and how they retain it, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
think at the heart of it, I'm also educator,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I think any of those things could lead you into where I've landed. The wonderful thing about this is I would love to one day get into the schools and the curriculum and really um have an opportunity for students that wants to tackle this early on to see that path and have it in an actual curriculum book, and there's classes available to lead you down this path to a vice president of urban activation or a cultural vice president of cultural placemaking or placekeeping, or founder of an arts and cultural organization, or a public art curator, or
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean, like these different things that I'm doing. I would love to see more of a pathway funneling this stuff so that the work in the future is impactful.
I love that. And I think really to wrap it up, Raisin, tell us about the vision of your organization. Give us a little bit more about your organization than the
Yeah,
vision that you foresee it, so we know what journey that we'll be following you on.
absolutely. So Raising the Sun is all about arts and cultural placekeeping, right? So we're looking at underutilized spaces in a very profound way, whether it be a 10-foot or 20-story wall, whether it's a bridge that's a canvas, or where it's on top of a parking garage and it's an aerial, or whether it's a light installation or a sculpture or anything that you can see. Maybe it's graffiti parks, or maybe we're getting into vacant lots and alleys and making them destinations through the art. And so really wanting to look at transforming spaces um, on a different level to help people,
Yeah.
right? And to create economic viability for creatives that do this incredible work. And really wanting to see this in every community, because community is omnipresent. Community is everywhere. When you say community, it's worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the vision of Raising in the Sun is worldwide. And so I got chills because you can't you can't take it away, because it's already, the seed has been planted, and there's so many people that need that light. They need the light in their community. They want their story to be told. They need their spaces transformed. So there'll always be work for that. So you might see us creating parks, you know what I mean? You might see us doing murals. um you could see us doing any of that stuff. It might be a show, you know what I mean? And so it might be a film, you
Mm-hmm.
know? So however that manifests, is what in the essence of Raising the Sun. We just got a new branding. I was looking at that because it popped up on the phone. We have a new logo now that's coming out. We have a project that's Art for All at Downtown Library Center, just redoing the first two levels of the parking garage, working with the unhoused population, creatives. We're going to make that parking garage a destination. We're working with local organizations to do other mural projects. We have Block 16 and 18 in the next 3 years, which is a huge development in the African American Cultural District, which will be overseeing all of the art installations and activations going up into the development. We're also going to be going into our first headquarters next year, 2025, which will be creating destinations and murals and affordable housing for creatives and families. Right,
Wow.
so we'll have our first ground level office space, along with some coffee shops for BIPOCs and other art studios that are surrounding us. The next property will be the affordable housing for specifically BIPOC creatives with families, right? So that
Wow.
they can be able to come in, do their businesses. So this will be our first space. So we're excited about that. We're going to be hiring staff. So along with that, with the work I'm doing downtown, I'm totally busy. But I think where I'm trying to go with it is that Raising the Sun is created. I'm just happy to be along with it. I just so happen to be the founder. It will go beyond the vision that I had.
Mm,
It will help so millions and millions and millions of people. It will transform so many communities for the better. It's going to
mm,
tell umpteen billions of stories
mm.
through the arts, through the cultural work in these underutilized spaces. So that is the vision for Raising the Sun. You need to keep up with it. Follow us on Instagram, Raising the Sun, RAASIN in the Sun. You can find us there. And then I'm Love Raising. I have a personal. I need to start posting back, man. I need to get out of there. And I've been so busy. I'm in the bat cave these days. But when I come out of the bat cave, I'm flying, honey.
Yeah, you are. I love that. I love that. Raisin, thank you so, so much for sharing your story. Honestly, I was all like,
Yeah.
I just want to be you when I grow up. Like, down to like, I'm serious, like, down to I've always wanted to play the sax. I've always wanted to play the
That's
drums.
amazing.
You know, all of these things
Amazing.
that you are doing and who you are. I'm just like, oh, if only Raisin in the Sun existed in my community at a time, I would be doing those things. You know, because I
Wow.
was a young person that just wasn't guided. You know what I mean? It was just stay out
Yeah.
of trouble. Just stay out of trouble. Go to
Yeah.
college and stay out of
Yeah.
trouble.
Yeah.
Okay, but there was
Yeah.
no guidance, hand holding on what that looked like. And so to hear about this amazing organization that you want to see go global and will go global, it's just like, man, exactly what you're saying. Like this next generation, they have options. You know what I mean? But with options comes a need for guidance. You know what I mean? And I just want to
Yes.
say thank you so much for being such an incredible guide in your community and for being such an incredible light in this world. And like you are just literally the perfect example of like the folks that I want to bring together. Like I'm just like I'm like serious. I'm like I'm just gonna put in my resume. It's hot in Austin though. I don't know if I can handle all that, but like
No,
what
let
you're
me let me
go
t-
ahead, go
let
ahead.
me tell you. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Let me drop something on you real quick. What you are doing, nobody else is doing.
Yeah,
You are already on your way. So all you have to do is walk in the light.
yeah,
That's all you have to do. Everything else is taken care of.
yeah.
So once you realize that, you will not be working for me, you will be working with me. So you'll be okay. You just gotta, this is amazing what you're doing. It needs to be done. There's not, I mean, literally, our path is set.
Mm-hmm.
All you have to do is walk in the light.
And then it eventually will emerge. Yeah,
100%. It's
it's already
already emerging
merged.
before you. You just gotta realize it. Yes, it's merging already. It's merging now.
Oh
The humans are
man, yeah.
humaning.
The humans are humaning. If there's anything that you can say to the other humans who have been listening, what are some last words of advice and wisdom from Raisin?
The last words of wisdom for me is, you know, if you ever in a dark place, it's it's not forever. It's temporary. Like, cause especially if you if you're a light worker. If you're a light worker, if you're just any ounce of light in you, that dark place does not have to be permanent. So move through it. Don't be afraid to reach out and talk about it. You don't have to go through things alone. And I'm speaking personally of personal experience of recent. Um, it's okay. You know what I mean? And it's okay to be sad in a dark space for a second, you know? But just know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. So keep moving through it because it's only temporary. And so that would be my today advice because I just been going through that. Um, but I know that I'm truly a light worker and I want to see the best in people. Um, and I'm a provider. That's what I'm doing. And so I have to make sure I am okay. So self-love is the utmost important thing you can do for yourself. Self-love, don't be afraid to smile. Don't be afraid to be kind to people. I have a friend, Mike Kim. He is a, you know, Korean soldier, right? And he has a company called it's a kindness company called I'm gonna forget about the name, but basically he wants everybody to teach people how to be kind. Some Need Place, that's it called, Some Need Place. And so he throws events around kindness, and I know it's kind of crazy, right? He's my friend, like an angel.
Yeah.
But people, like things like that, you know, like you want to see people like that soar and don't get in those dark places too long, you know. And so that would be my message for whoever's listening that needed to hear that, because it's not for everybody. Because people are like, I'm not in a dark place, I'm just fine. Well, some people are in a dark place. They go in and out.
Yeah.
They go in and out. So yeah, that's it for me.
Awesome. Again, Raisin, thank you so much for being on Leading the Pack. You, again, quintessential example of someone who's being a leader in the community and leading the pack, you know, in all fronts. So thank you so much for all that you're doing. Thank you so much again for being on the show. And I just look forward to following your journey, and also more importantly, for the day that our paths will cross in person so that we could be reunited again. So thank you again for being on the show. And everyone else, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to follow Raisin on their journey. Go to all their links. I'll leave them in the description below. If you want to follow our account on Instagram, it's Tomboy International. So it's at TMBINTF. And yeah, just look forward to the growth of this platform. And so if there's any guests that you feel like you want to be on the show that are also leading the pack in your communities, make sure to comment them below. I'd love to have them on the show, and so that we can continue to build our network so that we're not lost in the sauce, but we start becoming and are the secret sauce in society. So again, Raisin, thank you for being on the show. And everybody else, I'll see you in the next episode. Bye now.
Bye.